Welcome to the Toffee TV Podcast. This week, we'll be discussing Everton's worst Premier League 11. There's many factors in this. Many factors. It's not just the worst 11 players we've ever seen, because I honestly don't know if I can remember the worst 11 players, just simply because watched a lot of football over the last few years. Been a lot of poor players come through Everton. You can't say there hasn't, but these players all stand out for a reason for me. For various reasons. Now, there's no hard and fast rules on this, on how many games they've played, because, let's be honest, some of them will have played very few games because of how bad they are, or because of other circumstances. So, so let's do it. Let's start, obviously, with the goalkeeper. I'm going traditional 4-4-2.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, 4-4-2.
Okay, right. Let's get into it. Let's get into the goalkeeper then. Let's go for it. Okay. Okay. Ready for the reveal. Who's it going to be?
Okay.
Tension building. 3, 2, 1. Ooh! Baz has gone for Richard Wright. I have gone for Paul Gerrard.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Tell me about Richard Wright.
There's like you've just said there, the caveat to this thing is that it isn't the worst players who've ever pulled an Everton shirt.
Yeah, that's
right.
True.
It isn't. Just that's not how we've done it. They're in the worst 11 for a number of reasons, which we will explain. The worst goalie I've seen for Everton in the Premier League era was McPartland.
Yeah.
He played at Tottenham and was shocking. The biggest issue I had, one of the biggest issues I had, was his trackies, where his crotch was bound by his knees. He kept having to pull them
He'd been to Duns for them.
He'd literally, I don't know where he'd been for them, but he had a nightmare, and he single-handedly cost us the game against his old club. So that was the worst goalkeeping performance I've seen. The reason I've picked Richard Wright is because he came with so much promise. We bought him from Arsenal. He was this goalkeeper that was going to become England's number one. You know, Arsenal wanted to keep him, Wenger didn't want him to go, and it was like, we felt like we got a big coup with him getting him. It was like, we've got Richard Wright, Moyes has come in, he's got a young up-and-coming goalkeeper. And his debut kind of fitted in with his Everton career. Winning 2-1 against Tottenham, Les Ferdinand with a back pass, and he let it roll under him and give Spurs a draw. But then the week later, he goes to Sunderland and makes one of the greatest penalty saves I've ever seen. But in general, this is a fella that fell out of a loft, got injured training on a bit of the pitch that said, don't train here, jump back.
Didn't he actually stand on the sign?
When did he jump back? His ankle went on the sign.
On the sign, yeah.
Dunham.
The sign that said, don't be on the pitch.
Don't train here. And then went out the cup. That was the replay against Chelsea. He couldn't play, so Ian Turner had to play. And there was just too many occasions where he let things in he should never have let in, resulting in the fact that we went and then got Nigel Martin, who was coming to the end of his career, and ended up taking over him and was actually one of Everton's best Premier League goalies. So that's why I write him for me. A goalkeeper with full of promise, high hopes for, paid a lot of money for him at the time, and he was poor more than he was good for Everton.
He was very, very poor. I remember his debut well. He was he was the first person Moyes went and bought, because he said, I wanted to build it from the back.
He got Yobbo on loan, he got him, didn't he?
And I remember at the time, it was a big coup as well, gone after the England goalkeeper, gone to Arsenal, had a great time, come to us, but Moyes made his mind up pretty quick on him, which was good as well. Moyes was good at that. I've gone for Paul Gerrard because a bit of everything in this. He was at Everton for 8 years. He played 90 times.
Is that how long
he
was there?
He played 90 times for Everton. 90 times.
It's terrible.
And he was terrible. Like big standout was the one he dropped against Man United. And to Cantona, back post, goes to catch it, drops it, and Cantona just gets the tap in. And that was when it was 1-0, and we were going after them.
But even the first goal, he'd come out of his box. He made an error for the first goal as well, if you remember. 0-0, he slid out of his box and dropped the ball, and they scored. But there was lots of them, though.
Yeah, and then obviously going up to Middlesbrough for that cup game, there was a back pass from Pistoni, I think, and he just completely got it wrong, and they end up getting a goal. But as you know, you just said Richard Wright and all the but 8 years this was a player who was brought in. He was supposed to come in when he was young, have a couple of years under sort of Neville Southall's tutelage, and then go on and be this great goalkeeper. And he didn't. He was horrendous. And I don't know. I don't even know if he was one of those goalkeepers you could ever see. Yeah, but he made some amazing saves. I don't remember him doing anything good. They bought him on promise of what he'd done at Oldham, and he was just, I don't know.
Well, Joe had him at Oldham, didn't he? And he was very good at Oldham, to be fair. He was a young and up-and-coming goalkeeper. And Joe obviously liked him. Thought, you're right, Southall was coming to the end. We'd been Clifford Finched off with Nigel Martin and Mark Schwarzer. Yeah. We get Gerrard in. And I always thought it was a bit sus that he had to wear knee braces early on when he's as a young goalkeeper. Yeah. But he was in goal for the McAllister free kick, wasn't he?
He was.
And I'd never ever forgive him after that, because it was embarrassing. I've seen it. And the worst thing about Gerrard was, in that same game, he'd made an unbelievable save from Sammy Hyypiä. I think when it was 2-1 or 2-2 Edder, he pushed it over. And then, a bit like Richard Wright, he then would go and throw one in. And that goal from McAllister was embarrassing. But, yeah, he'd had games when he was okay. But he was never someone you felt confident with.
Was he in goal?
Mason. He fell over and fell. Mason's volley went in the height, and he was laying on the floor. Yeah. And I don't know how. It was like 40 yards. He ran and fell. And
last minute of the game.
Injury time. 0-0 it was. Getting a draw. Which wasn't great, but it's better than the defeat. And so there was too many of them. And Steve Simonson come in and took his place, and then was in, and then two were in and out, and he was another one. But so there's three goalkeepers we just reeled off in the late 90s and then the early 2000s that all had big promise. Simonson was another one. He come in from Tranmere. He done all right, Simonson, but he had his moments then, and you were never confident with him. You were never confident with Gerrard. But 8 years, incredible that he was there.
96 to 2004.
Yeah. Well, Moyes.
He went on loan loads of times, but that's not the point. He played 90 games though.
Yeah.
90 games of football. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about that whole time before Moyes come in.
We had no one of... I mean, don't forget, Thomas Myra come in, didn't he?
I was there for his debut at Leeds.
Myra took him out the equation and
but then
made his own, but then he fell off a cliff, didn't he? And threw 2 in against Villa at home in an FA Cup quarter-final when we should have beat, and so we had our issue. And I think that was the issue after Neville Southall, and it carried on until Nigel Martin, really. That every keeper we had could have a couple of... Well, Myra had a good spell, but then it went... saying a good spell, it was about a year, and then he just fell off a cliff. Gerrard was never good enough. Simonson was really never good enough. And they were the issues that we had with it until he went and got Nigel Martin.
Well, of course, they were all coming off the back of Southall as well, which didn't help. But as you're right, Nigel Martin.
But that's why Richard Wright, for me, should have been... He was coming off the back of Gerrard and Simonson. Yeah. He should have been much better, and he wasn't. So that's why I went for him.
There
and
you go.
Gone for
good
Gerrard.
Start. Tells you everything you need to know. Right back. Let's have a look. Right back. I'm trying to remember who I've actually put in the team.
Yeah, I've actually... hang on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Mark Hottinger. We've both gone for Mark Hottinger. Played 17 games for Everton, scored 1 goal, got him in from Newcastle.
Wasn't it? The goal. It's it from the edge of the box.
I'll be honest, this is just one of those ones where it's not a case of, I haven't got a big story to reel off. I just thought he was crap. I just thought he was really, really crap. He was a Swiss international who'd obviously already been at Newcastle, and we'd had a bit of a dodgy time with right backs, and he'd come in at a time where actually if we'd bought a decent right back, and I think he came off the back of like Matt Jackson and Earl Barrett. Now if he'd come in and if we'd gone out and actually bought a decent right
Joe
back.
Joe bought him, didn't he?
Yeah. So if we'd gone out and bought a decent right back at that time, we were building, I seen a video the other day where I think we won 3-0, and Andre scores and Daniel Amakati scores, and Duncan's playing, and if we've got like a decent right back, and that was, I don't know whether that was just down to money towards the end where Joe wasn't getting the money to go out and buy these players, but to Mark Hottiger, like, that was a good team, and he put Mark Hottiger in it.
What was really weird was we'd had Matt Jackson when Joe come in, and he was doing okay. We had Matt in a while ago, and he was doing all right. We won the FA Cup. You know, bought Earl Barrett in that year because he wanted a good defensive. Matt Jackson was an attacking fullback. He wanted Earl Barrett for whatever reason, more defensive. Earl Barrett was a better centre back, but we played him at right back and destroyed him really, because I think if he'd have played centre back, he'd have been. I think Evertonians would have took to him a lot more because he just wasn't very good on the ball, Barrett. But he was a great, like, man for man, 1v1. He was excellent. So we had Jackson, who was quite good. We had Barrett, who was a decent defender but couldn't cross the halfway line. John O'Connor played some games in that time. Yeah, but he had a really good spell. It was only that he got an injury that curtailed him. And Mark Hottiger was this attacking fullback from Newcastle. So I suppose on paper, Joe's looking and thinking, we've got a good defensive fullback. I want someone better than Matt Jackson for whatever reason. And this Hottiger fits the bill. But he come in and he was just awful. He didn't settle. He'd done all right at Newcastle, I think. He come in, he just didn't settle at Everton. He was poor. 17 games says it all. Says it all.
He just left to go back to Switzerland.
Yeah, he just went. Everton just got shut of him because he wasn't very good. I mean, I looked, and Tony Thomas was nearly in mind because he wasn't good enough at this level. He was good for Tranmere at that level. Great crosser of the ball, but just wasn't very
like Paul
good.
Holmes.
Bit like Paul. Well, I think Paul Holmes was better.
But Paul Holmes' crossing was amazing.
Yeah, it was. So, if people are looking and going, we've had worse right back than him. I'm just saying, he was Hottiger because we went out and bought him for a decent amount of money from a club. He was an international. He come in and was dreadful. So that's why he's in that. That's why I picked him.
I'm imagining with some like creative scouting at the time, maybe in Europe, we could have found someone much better.
For about a third of the price again. Yeah.
So I don't know whether it was just late. I think, to be honest, that sort of summed up Joe's reign at Everton, was that the signings that worked, but everyone he bought was like quite established one way or another wherever they were. There was no real, like, he went out and bought other players, and they were like maybe the best player that other team had, but when they came to Everton, they were just terrible. There was no creative thinking in some of
the... Joe was brilliant at what he did. He's a brilliant football man, and he's
manager,
and a brilliant manager of. He was a brilliant manager. What he done with Oldham was incredible, and what he done with Everton was incredible. Really, when he come in, and he had us to a point where we had a season from November that resulted in us winning an FA Cup and showing almost top 3, top 4 form from when Joe come in. The following season, we were brilliant. Won at Anfield, we were brilliant. We should have finished in Europe. A couple of things cost us that at the end of that season. The following season, we get to Christmas, beat Derby.
Like 2 years, didn't we?
And people are going, these are dark horses.
We beat Derby.
We lose Joe Parkinson over Christmas, and we had a couple of injuries. He fell out with the Echo, and then they went after him, and Phil McNulty at the time went after Joe. He banned the Echo, and that was all the press was negative, and then we've said it many times, haven't we? He went into a meeting to try and sign Tor Andre Flo and Klaus Ekterberg, and ended up resigning. Yeah. And yet we'd already agreed, Joe had already bought Slaven Bilic. That was already done. So that was another establishment. Nick Barmby, established. Andre Kanchelskis, established. There was no, Joe Parkinson, he gave his chance to, but Joe Parkinson was bought by Mike Walker or by Everton at the time, excuse me, scouting at the time. So Hottiger was probably just a lazy fit. It was probably an attacking right back, plays in the Premier League. Hottiger will do.
I think that probably came from being at Oldham and having to like wheel or deal for all like the leftover established players, and that's where that come from. There was we never as a club kicked on. No. And the mad thing about that was we did buy really good players. That's not the issue. The issue was that in terms of how we did the scouting, and that right back spot at the time should have been filled by someone really, really good. And it was almost like an afterthought. And yet it was those kind of signings which were the downfall of them. Because like you just said, when we started to lose good players, whether it be Joe Parkinson, there was no one to fill in, or the player we looked at.
Klaus Thompson.
Well, the players we started to look at to replace them were just like, we're just nowhere near the level. So, anyway, let's move on to left back. Okay. 3, 2, 1. I have gone for Cuco Martinez. Baz has gone for David Burrows.
See, you've shoehorned.
I haven't shoehorned him. He played most of his games at Everton at left back. There's no shoehorning.
I've got to say, he's literally up there with the worst I've ever seen.
Go on, tell us about David Burrows.
I've gone for David Burrows because he played for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Now, realistically, we swapped Tony Cottee for this fella.
Yeah.
And in a move that to me made zero sense. Absolute zero sense. Cottee, don't get me wrong, I wasn't Tony Cottee's biggest fan by any stretch of the imagination, but he was a lad who could score goals. He'd get on the end of things, albeit, yeah, he was getting older, but then he went away and still scored goals for a few years.
Yeah.
But if we would have been getting a young, exciting fullback or a very, very good fullback, then I'd have took it.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We got someone who come in and didn't make any impact at all. He
didn't want to be at Everton.
He didn't want to be at Everton. His affiliation was with Liverpool, which is fine. But he come to Everton because he'd been shoehorned out of West Ham for Cottee. You know, they wanted Cottee, and we just went, oh, well, we'll have him then. And he come in. And the biggest memory I've got of him was he set Duncan's goal up for the first goal after he'd signed permanently against Chef Weatherall. Crossed the great cross in, Duncan headed it in. Other than that, I just remember him being grim with no heart really about him. Just not really arsed.
No.
And that's me overriding memory of him. And listen, he could sit here and tell us different and go, yeah, it just didn't settle, the team wasn't very good, or this or that or the other. But the reality was the team was very good when he come in.
Team was decent.
He just wasn't very good. And that was he wasn't very good. The team was all right. It went all right. It should have gone better. We got him out the door. You know, we got him in, and to me, he was poor. You know, to be honest, I didn't even think of Martina because in my mind he's a right back, but he is dreadful.
Burrows just didn't care, did he?
No.
And obviously Joe coming in, Joe wanted Andy Hinchcliffe in there for the set pieces, and obviously Gary Ablett went out there as well. No, he didn't care. He had no heart. He didn't want to be at Everton. He was just a journeyman player. Got a chance to come back up to Merseyside and took it. He was crap, absolutely crap. Just grim. People wouldn't even know he played for Everton. That's how bad he was. He had there was no like a Philly. There was nothing. There was no even like. He wasn't even like a bad guy. Just no legacy for him. He was terrible. Most Evertonians wouldn't even know who he was. He was come up in the quiz we did last couple of weeks ago, and like he was the first player to play in the Premier League for both Everton and Liverpool in Merseyside derbies. People were just like, what? Who did he? Wasn't that Gary Ablett? No, it was him. It's like no one knew. Listen, Cuco Martinez. Listen. Let's be thinking about some players, right? Some players are on this list, like David Burrows. They didn't care. Cuco Martinez signed for Everton and was given a ridiculous contract by the manager. But I don't believe this lad has never not tried for Everton.
No. I say he's one of the worst I've ever seen. Yeah, but he's not. I've never looked at him and thought, you're not arsed.
Yeah, exactly. Ever. So he went to left back and it was an emergency. And some games he was okay. But as a footballer, oh my God, he's terrible. Like, how many times when he played at left back did we have to watch him try and shift it onto his right foot? Like, couldn't even kick it down the line with his left foot.
He'd have been better just playing at right back all the time, because you probably would have got someone like Seamus Coleman, or I know he was out at the time, but so one of our right backs probably could have done better at left back. In terms of football wise, but you know what? Defensively, the
worst thing, and maybe this lad should be on the list for not getting into the team, is Luke Garbutt. Because Luke Garbutt could not get this lad out of left back. Now that just tells you everything. I don't know what that says about Luke Garbutt, but Luke Garbutt was at the club.
He was, yeah.
And
kicking his heels.
He hadn't been registered for the first half of the season when he should have. When Baines went out injured, we suddenly had no one. Martinez had to come in. And then obviously, I think he got registered for the second half of the Premier League season, but Europe, we were out of Europe. Garbutt could have played in games in Europe, he'd been registered, but he hadn't. So I don't know what that says about Luke Garbutt. But Martino was just woeful as a footballer. And now he got 3 years, and how at this point he's still at Everton Football Club is absolutely crazy. Because obviously he hasn't kicked the ball for, I know he's been on the bench, but he hasn't kicked the ball for 2 years. And no one else wants him. You know, we went to PSV, what was it? Feyenoord, wasn't it? Went to Feyenoord on loan, it looked like that could happen. But even then, basically, Everton were thrown, can have him, and even they didn't want him. So, I'm not saying anything about his attitude or anything. He's just a terrible footballer. That's all you can. And sometimes some players, and you'll see this, some players are a massive indictment of a certain manager, and I think it says a lot about Koeman that he went looking for him, gave him 3 years when he was on a free transfer. It's just like, you didn't have to do that. Listen, draw your own conclusions out of that, but there you go. Right, let's move on to centre back. First centre back. Right. 3, 2, 1. I've gone for Alcaraz. Baz has gone for Ashley Williams. Go on, tell me about Ashley Williams.
Ashley Williams, when we got him, I was made up we got him. To be honest, I thought, at last we've got a leader. It was brilliant. Every time he played against Everton for Swansea, he was brilliant. You know, he'd throw himself in the way of everything. He you know, been unbelievable for Wales in the Euros. It was just great. We got him. Come in, done all right, done well early on, organised us. But then as time went on, I've never seen a player just not be arsed. Like you talked about Burrows before, right? But this fella just looked like he couldn't be bothered. He looked like someone who decided to just look after himself. Whenever a goal was scored, pulling his shirt over his head and all of that, resulting in Burnley away, which ended up being the last game he ever played for Everton.
And rightly so.
Because Sam Allardyce, who people might like, hate, whatever, he knew what he'd done that day, the fella. He couldn't be arsed anymore, and he got himself sent off. He'd conceded the goal because he couldn't be arsed. He'd let Chris Wood run past him, the lad who can't friggin' run. You know, and Ashley Barnes, another one, who sets off now, he might get there next Tuesday, just out-sprinted them to score goals. And I just couldn't have his attitude. Southampton away, disgrace. Just absolutely woeful in the end. And he was on a hell of a lot of money. And he's in there. Is he the worst defender I've seen play for Everton? Is he? No way. He's actually a very good defender. But he come in for a decent amount of money on a big wage. And really, it was there for him to have the Everton captaincy. To come in and go, right, I'm going to be the organiser. I've got the experience. This is what we do. I'm going to be the one who stands up and be confident. And he didn't. He just went the other way. And I can't accept that. I can't accept players coming in. And it's one of the reasons why Sigurdsson bugs me now. Sigurdsson's nowhere near that level. Sigurdsson, I think, tries all the time. I just don't think he does enough. But when players are at a good level, don't allow yourself to just slip into it. Kind of like body language of, I'm not arsed anymore. And that's why Ashley Williams is in for me, because I just think for what he was to where he ended up, I think it's inexcusable, really.
Yeah, listen, we got near 50 million for John Stones, and we go out and pay 10 million for this guy. And I think everyone always thought, well, could get a couple of years out of this, could be a solid defender for a couple of seasons, maybe allow someone like Holgate to come through and replace Stones. And I think that was sensible. It was sensible thinking at the time. But you're right, and I thought the first season he was all right. I thought he was okay. I thought he was a solid defender.
The first 6 months, I'd say he was excellent.
Put his body on the line, but as you said, when the going got tough, he just didn't care. He just didn't care. So
pour the water all over himself.
He just didn't care, and I think that's the biggest, issue you can have with a player as a fan is if, it's a problem I've had with Morgan Schneiderlin after what I've seen at Lyon, something very similar. club obviously felt like that was a one-off. But with Ashley Williams, you know, Sam decided that was the end of his...
That was February.
Yeah.
He chased him and just went, you're done, lad. Didn't play again. And why didn't he play again? You know, your managers will allow players, you know, if they do that, bollock them, fine them, but get your head down, run your bollocks off in training and all that. If manager sees you in training every day and you don't get back in that side, then there's only one reason why you're not back in that side for me, and that is because your body language is coming across in training as well. Everton, we end up giving them away to Stoke, take him and keep him. You know, you can have him, we don't want him back. But I believe he's gone to Bristol City and been very good. So maybe just his
level.
You know, well, that's the other thing as well, of course. He's gone down a league and there is a gulf, so it is easier to express yourself at that level. But like you say, players can struggle because they're not good enough, but give everything and try the best all the time, and you have to look and go. That's why, you know, like you said about Martin before, technically one of the worst players I've ever seen play for Everton, but I couldn't sit here and go, never cared that lad, never tried, and because he just wasn't very good at it. But Ashley Williams is better than what he showed for Everton. And, you know, Michael Keane, people slate Michael Keane at times and say this and that about him, but I never get the impression Michael Keane doesn't care about playing for Everton. He
doesn't
wants
go
to be
hiding, does he?
No, he's just that. His confidence visibly goes, but Ashley Williams for me went hard, and he should have been the one that was dragging people by the throat and going, get your game together. He didn't. How many games did we get bounced by 4s and 5s and he'd just go, when the second one went in and walk back with his head and the third and you were like, oh my God, you are you're a fella that has been to a European Championship semi-final recently with your team. You're the fella who was injured. They were telling you to go off and you didn't. You strapped it up and carried on. And now, Al Menor running past you and you're putting your shirt over your head. No, not for me.
Wales and golf first, obviously. I've gone for Alcaraz because, quite simply, he was, not only was he awful, but again, he was the on-pitch symbol of the manager. Like, I remember when we signed, it was just like, well, he's an emergency centre-back, whatever. And then when you watch them play, oh my God.
He had a couple of brilliant games when he looked like a footballer.
Okay. The Merseyside derby when he played, when we got beat 4-0.
Yeah,
he was horrific. He should never have played that night. John Stone should have played and Tony Abbott should have played. He was horrific. Like, I remember people say, oh, he looks like he plays in his slippers. Yeah, he does play in his slippers. That's why he can't get across the grass. Because that's how slow he is. But the one that always stands out for me was 2 games. We played Newcastle on the Saturday and he got man of the match. Sunday. We got man of the match.
Beat them 3-0.
Yeah. He didn't have to do anything. And somehow he got man of the match.
Because I think he did play well.
We were playing Newcastle and they were horrific. We beat them. We beat them 3-0 and he's getting man of the match. No, I'm not asked. This is my time to rant.
Pass for the first goal.
He's terrible play.
Okay.
So, then Thursday night, we're going away to Kiev. We've got a slim lead, but we've got a lead. We've got John Stones back, who was in magnificent form at the time. And the manager just decides to continue playing because he'd had one good game against a terrible Newcastle. And he was horrendous. Like, he was worse than horrendous. He was everything. And I remember at our time, every man and his dog was like, he's got to go off. That's how bad he was.
We were still in the game. Rom scored a worldie.
We were still in the game.
We were in the tie, well in the tie.
Just bring John Stones on. And I think just don't, get a goal, because we could easily get a goal against them. And just defend properly. And he didn't. And he left them on. And it was the biggest, again, it's a representation of your manager on the pitch. And that's what Alcaraz was. He was a representation of Martinez on the pitch. He was just like, take chances, just might do that, might not do that kind of thing. And I couldn't bear him, and I couldn't bear the manager at that point. For allowing that to happen on the pitch and off the pitch was just to me was just absolutely shocking. This just lazy attitude of I'll still take chances, and sadly that then got passed on to John Stones. It was almost like Alcaraz was like the first sort of warning of what John Stones was going to be, of like this, well, I'll just take chances because the manager allows me to take chances. This was John Stones, as he was faster and a little bit more technique and get away with them. Not all of them, but some of them. But he was awful.
The year before, he'd had a nightmare at Southampton at the end of the season when we got beat 2-0. Well, he headed the first one into his net after 30 seconds, didn't he? And Coleman headed the second one into his net. You know, we got, once he getting beat 2-0, and again, he got a win with 2 own goals. Incredible. But there was some warning signs then that he wasn't quick enough. He was a good footballer, but there's no point being a good footballer if you can't run. And that Kiev game, you're right, just summed up Roberto Martinez. We had a chance of... You've got players like Ross Barkley and Romelu Lukaku, and you're in the last 32 of the Europa League, you got a chance of winning it. And he single-handedly went to Kiev and just pissed about with the team and put Christian Atsu in and played Alcaraz, and we get bounced, rightly so, and we were dumped out of it, and he had to take full responsibility for that, because it was shocking, absolutely shocking.
Just a terrible footballer in terms of...
Let's move on.
Right, the other centre back. This one should be interesting.
It's dead interesting because I've forgotten who. Oh yeah.
Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Baz has gone for Per Coulter. I've gone for Mangala. Right, the reason I've gone for Mangala is a little bit like some of the other ones, is that I think he only played 1 game for Everton.
He did.
But I learned
1.5 games.
I learned everything I needed to know in that 1 game. So he came in from Man City, and I thought it was an absolutely terrible bit of business from the minute go. People's, there was a lot. Well, it's only on loan, but if anyone had watched him at Man City, he was absolutely awful. He was sometimes just, you bring a player in and you're just like, oh, bring him in on loan, we'll see what happens, and he might have had the bad rub of the green at the last cup. He was absolutely awful. And we brought him in and we played him in that Arsenal game. And we played him in this 3-man back, supposed to be 3 centre-backs, ended up being 5. And yet we were 4-0 down after 20 minutes. Like, it was an absolute mess. And he didn't know whether he was coming or going. And the best thing he actually ever did for Everton was get injured, because he was so bad. And again, he illustrated, like, I don't know, something about the Allardyce thing, I don't know. It was just so bizarre. He was so bad that we would go out and look to bring a player in who was so bad.
He was a defender at a cost City, 30 odd million quid, and I played a lot of games for them and was all right at times. And we got him on loan on a free because we needed someone who could run in the back line, and he could run. It's just, he was against Arsenal, he was terrible. You can't get away from that, but they were all terrible. And then Palace, the week later, he started off all right, got injured off a corner. First 25 minutes, he was fine, no problems with him, and he went up for a corner and done his knee in, and that was the last we saw of him. But yeah, I remember you saying at the time when we got him, you weren't impressed that we got him, but sometimes you get someone in on loan because you think they can cover. I think Allardyce's mistake with him was they hadn't been playing 5 at the back, and it was his debut at the Emirates, and he threw him in, and the whole thing was ridiculous that day because he picked a bizarre team.
Yeah.
Instead of just playing lads who, if you're talking about not wanting to get a chasing, then just play lads who haven't been playing, and play like Klaassen and Vlasic and people like that who were around, and Sandro, play 4-4-2 and just, or 4-5-1, and just say, right, you go out and run your bollocks off for us, let's see what you've got, because we're preserving this team to beat Crystal Palace next Saturday, which was essentially what he said after the game. It was like, yeah, we were terrible, but it's about next week. Well, if it doesn't matter, then play all the lads who want to play. Play the lads who were chomping at the bit. Adam Ola-Luckman, who I think was still there at the time, he hadn't gone. Play the likes of them and see how they get on. If they get beat 5-1, you go. well, you know, we had a few injuries and we've give lads a go. And Mangala was literally
it illustrates,
throwing him into a back that he'd never played in. It was bizarre.
It illustrates a moment for me, again, that thing of like where people turned on Allardyce and just said, you haven't got a clue. You want to take the credit for all the positive stuff, but don't want to take anything about the negative stuff. And
well, he distanced himself from that. The worst thing about that game was he'd said in a press conference, like, something like, yeah, we're going to go with Arsenal because they're tired, because they played this and they won't fancy it. And then we went and we didn't. We went play 5 at the back and sat back and it was like, you've said something yesterday and you've done the opposite today. So, yeah, no, I understand why you put him in. It's just, yeah.
I also do think he's a terrible footballer, by the way.
Like City have released, he's gone, hasn't he? But
yeah, I also do think he's.
I think Everton had just looked at him on loan for pace, but you know, who knows what would have happened. But at the time, putting him next to Ashley Williams in a defence, then there you go, you know. But I went for Kroll's because he was terrible. You know, I'm almost certain, I've got no factual stuff about this, but I'm almost certain that Moyes wanted Simon Kjaer and Everton thought he wanted Per Kroldrup, because they were the partners at Udinese and we'd scouted
Carsley.
Yeah, what Madrid did. Well, they thought he was the same player. But because I remember, I was working at Everton at the time and I remember seeing him. He played in a friendly against Udinese. Simon Davis scored, we beat them 1-0 at Goodison before the season started and Kroldrup played. Moyes was like, he can't head the ball. Who's this? This kid can't head the ball. And I remember I was doing the tickets for the players at the time and going down and talking, and they were like, because obviously you're a fan and we've got a £5 million centre back at that time. Who £5 million was a lot of money. It was like,
for us it was.
What's this fella like? And it was like, people were telling me on a call, he's not very good. And I was like, you know about? Because Moyes really, if you think, Moyes didn't make that many mistakes.
Well, yeah, no, well, that I don't. Listen, not in the same position, but I remember. Well, I remember him. We signed him, and then he never played games, and then there was question marks. Then why wasn't he playing games? And I remember hearing at the time myself was no one had actually physically gone to watch this player. It was all done on video, and maybe that's where the confusion come from. Yeah. Is that no one had gone and scouted him, and Moyes had asked. It was, I don't know what, and maybe this is why Moyes. This was. What, about 3 years into Moyes? And this is why after that Moyes give Moyes more power, more control, because he started demanding that he started that, because if you make a mistake that big, you know, you're gonna stop trusting people. And
well, he decided early on, and early on is like a couple of weeks, that he wasn't going to play. He wasn't good enough. But he tried to coach him into out to head the ball and all that, and he couldn't cope with the physical side of it. He was okay on the ball, good touch, could pass it, but wasn't particularly quick, and just couldn't get the physicality out of himself. And that Simon Kjaer was a dominant centre back at that, and went on to have a great career. So he would have been. I'm almost certain that he was the one we wanted. Because I know Moyes wanted him later on in his Everton thing, just couldn't quite get him, but we could have got him at the time. He ended up with Kroll's. And then he played obviously against Aston Villa away on Boxing Day, I think it was, and Milan Barca them off 4-0. Got destroyed on the telly. And then his last game was a FA Cup replay against Millwall at home. We played and we beat them 1-0, and then he was sold the next day. We got him. Moyes gave him a game that night because he probably thought he can play against the Championship club. Timmy scored, we beat them 1-0 at home, and that was Kroll's. And he actually played quite well that night because he was up against lads who weren't as quick and strong. He done all right and was sold the next day. So he's in there because he a lot of money. Brought in, you know, promise this fella's coming, dominant centre back, and was absolutely shambolic.
Multiple factors. Right, let's move to right midfield. This should be interesting. 3, 2, 1. Peter Dane.
Yeah.
Okay, I've gone for Andy van der Meijden.
Yeah.
Right, Andy van der Meijden was at the club for 4 years. He played 20 games. His most Biggest contribution was the cross to Dan Gosling to win the derby in 2009, the FA Cup.
He had a better contribution than that. Birmingham City away on his league debut. Got it in their half edge on our half edge of the box. Our box dribbled through, slipped it inside, and Simon Davis scored. We beat them 1-0, and it was the first win.
Yeah. He did provide a couple of set piece goals and stuff.
Loads of talent, unbelievable talent.
And that's why he's in the team. Because I remember being how excited I was watching. It was like early YouTube videos of watching a player. Got Inter Milan, unbelievable. Ajax, if you watch the Ajax videos of him, they're unbelievable. Yeah, if you watch the Inter Milan videos of him, unbelievable. And I remember watching videos of him and I was so excited.
Remember he saw Scotland, didn't he? They beat Scotland 7-0, Holland, and he set about 6 of them up. He was unbelievable.
Talent-wise, unbelievable footballer. But clearly had issues injury-wise. Clearly had injury issues off the pitch. And I remember when they played Scotland, they interviewed him after the game and they shone a light on him and he collapsed.
Did he?
He collapsed because he said he was so dehydrated. When they shone the TV light on him, he collapsed. He collapsed on TV. And people started thinking then, what's he going? So obviously off the pitch he wasn't looking after himself. People used to hear people talk about him in training. Said things he can do in training: left foot, right foot, every shot, top corner, brilliant. And every time he come in, he got injured. He was already injured. We were all waiting for him to come back, and then he got injured again. He kept on just picking up these injuries, and he wasn't a Moyes type player, clearly, because he was lazy around the pitch, and you can afford that with some players, but not if they're not playing all the time. And they started getting all the rumours about him off the pitch. Had his dog robbed, his car robbed. Then he had a daughter.
Well, she was in older age.
She was in older age. She was born with. She was born with stuff outside the body that should have been inside the body, clearly. And he was like, "I'm not going anywhere." He said, "Like, we train at Belfield and older age there, and this is like the best hospital going." He said, "I'm not going anywhere," and you can understand that. That's the human side of things. It's just like he's clearly not the worst Everton player, but unfortunately circumstances with like he was built up. He could have been such an amazing player.
Big money, big wages at the time.
And again, those who knows where. It was after we qualified for the Champions League, so we were trying to grab everything we could, and he'd obviously been offered by an agent, and he probably thought, "Oh, but they're going to the Champions League," and after he left us, I don't think he played another game again. He went to PSV, never played. Went to another team, never played, and then retired. So after he left Inter Milan, he played like 20 more games over like 7 years, and retired when he was probably like early 30s. So he's half of his football career has just been gone, and I'm sure he said since put it down to certain factors, but just a waste of talent, and that's more frustrating than having buying crap.
Yeah. No, but it's Moyes bought him at the time. He was a big name. He was full of talent, ability. We were getting a match winner because that's what we needed. Going into the we thought we were going into the Champions League. We were a team that was always up near the top anyway in terms of 5 and 6, top 5, top 6. And he could have been a difference maker. We could have kept him fit and on the straight and narrow almost. I think if you would have put it this way, we got the likes of Mikel Arteta who come in, who was silky skills and nice on the ball, but worked his bollocks off as well, to be fair to him. And he forced his way. So you had all the skill and the talent, and then you had Moyes' work ethic on top of it, made Arteta the player he was. Arteta would have come in and would have had Martinez. He'd have carried on being someone who just stroked the ball about and didn't do much. And we had Pina, who was another one, full of ability, wanted to get his hands dirty, and that elevated Pina as a player. If we could have got Van der Meijden getting his hands dirty and staying fit with the talent he had, he'd have been incredible. In fact, he probably wouldn't have been at Everton in 2 years because someone else would have took him. But we got him for a reason, because obviously he wasn't doing, he was arsing about at Milan as well.
Yeah.
You know, top clubs don't sell great players.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the talent in the world and just couldn't perform, and that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So Peter Dane for me is in mind just because he's absolutely terrible.
Those people just won't even remember who he is.
No, but you know what? He had an arse like Nicki Minaj or something like his, you know, in the Anaconda video. That was Peter Dane.
Fair enough.
The biggest arse ever.
Incredible.
And he come in and was like full of promise. This fella, we got him from them, this young Danish winger. He's gonna be this, he's that, and he was absolutely crap. Really was. Like, he was little. He didn't have any kind of. He wasn't quick. So he wasn't a great dribbler. And I remember going to Chelsea and watching him once, and he was. It looked like he'd won a competition to be on the pitch. Honestly, he was embarrassing.
It was that era.
And it was like, I just remember thinking, how? I'm in the stand. I am miles better than you. And you're playing for my club. I've come to watch my club in London, and you're in the team, and you are crap. And he was terrible. He was absolutely diabolical. And I've put players in for lots of different reasons, but he's gone terrible in because he was just dreadful. He should never have wore our shirt in the Premier League, but he did.
I'll be honest, I barely remember anything about him. I the name I know, and I can picture him, but I just can't remember him playing. Because he was so bad.
He was terrible.
And he was obviously, you know.
And it was at a time when, if you were even half decent, you'd have been boss for us. Yeah. Fans would have loved you. Yeah. But he wasn't. He was just crap.
Yeah. Right, let's go to left midfield.
That's how bad he was. We talk about him.
I know. I can't remember anything about him.
You don't need to. You don't need to. He was that bad.
Okay, left midfield.
Okay.
3.
Hang on, no.
Come on, Baz.
I was just double checking who I had.
Okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Right, I've gone for Aidan McGeady. Baz has gone for Stephen Hughes.
Yeah.
Go on, Stephen Hughes.
Stephen Hughes, again. Bought from Arsenal. Decent amount of money. Looked very good at Arsenal. Lovely left foot.
Great posing by that tree.
Oh, the tree.
The tree pose.
I mean, to be fair, his tree posing was world class. It really was. Come in a, this young midfield player, loads of talent. Left foot like a wand. He's gonna do this. He's gonna do that, and he was just poor. He was poor. Not as a footballer, he wasn't poor. He just totally ineffective. Yeah. He looked slow, which he hadn't looked at Arsenal. He didn't influence any. He scored one great goal. We beat Watford 4-2, and he smashed it into the roof of the net with his left foot.
Didn't he score at Watford as well? In an FA Cup tie?
Yeah, league goal. I think he only had one Everton league goal, and it was a cracker. Yeah, at Watford in the FA Cup he scored. Yeah, I think the only 2 goals for us were both Watford. But in that Watford game, Mark Hughes scored, and he was awful as well. But yeah, he just another one full of promise and done nothing with it. And you kept waiting for him to ignite. It was like this player who we've seen do well at Arsenal is he's gonna like relax and settle into us and be good for us.
Which wasn't he?
And he didn't do anything. And he reminded me a bit of Michael Keane. You could tell sitting in the stand that his confidence was nowhere. Some players, like, you go, I wonder if they're lacking in a bit of confidence because they're not playing well. You could physically see with him, just looking with your eyes, you could see him on a ball. He'd give the ball and hide him on it back.
Didn't he come in that summer when we got like Niarco and Gravison and Watson and Pistone and Gaza?
I think it might have been
a little bit earlier than that.
Before
that,
bit earlier it was the one-to-one kick with the V-neck, which he played in. Yeah. And he was just he wasn't very good for us, and it was a pity because he was highly rated when we signed him. There was a big thing about him, and he come in and just typical Everton in the 90s let us down. Yeah, not let ourselves.
I've gone for McGeady because, again, brought in from Russia with no love.
No love at all.
and I remember when we got him in the January, didn't we? And 6 months left on his contract. Got him for a half decent price. And he came in and it was one of those where there was like loads of promise. Seen him clips of him playing for Celtic and for Ireland, and again the old YouTube rusher and loads of tricks. But he got him in and he just absolutely did nothing. You know, I remember it was the first game of his first season. It was away at Leicester, and he looked okay. I think he scored a great goal in that as well, and it was like he could be a really good player, but he was one of those players that you could tell just wasn't fully trying, just wasn't fully. For me, I never thought you're putting everything into this, that you're holding something back. And I think maybe that's something that will be summed up over his entire career, is that he always looks like he's holding something. Funny enough, just watched the Sunderland documentary, and obviously he is like the most important player at that level. Clearly he's the best player in the league. Yeah. But that almost feels like, to him, that's great. I'm suddenly the most important player, and maybe he was the most important player when he was at Celtic. But when it's like he was challenged at Everton, he could never get himself up to that level. Pace-wise, never had enough pace to be that tricky. Reminded me a little bit of like McPartland in that kind of thing.
He was quite quick. Not like quick as in knock it number. I thought he was quite bright. Anyway, McGeady, he come in and we were a good side. It was Martinez's first season. We were doing very well, and he come in and he'd make good contributions. He set a few goals up. And then I remember he played against Palace at home when we lost 3-2, and he went on a brilliant run early on, actually cut inside and bent in the inside of the post and come out. And if that had gone in, I think we'd have probably won the game, which meant we'd have probably finished in the top 4, which meant he'd have been a bigger part of it. And we didn't. We lost the game 3-2, and he was in and out. And then the second season, you're right. But I think what he would say, and I've heard him say this, is that when he'd get that head of steam up, Martinez would just light him.
Well, maybe that's so. You know what? This isn't a case of he's nowhere the worst player I've ever seen for Everton.
But I'm saying about that, I think you're right with the trying. His body language sometimes. Some players are just like that. You look at them and go, you're just not giving me everything. And he might have been. We don't know, do we? At Celtic, he was brilliant. But there was always a thing with him at Celtic, though, where they were like, he could do more and he doesn't do enough. I kind of had it with Lukaku. Even though Ron was great for us, I always thought...
Have you really just brought Lukaku into this conversation?
I'm saying with these players, when you look at them, they can hit a level and you know they've got more.
No, I appreciate that.
And with Ron, I knew he had more, and when he demonstrated the more, he was truly world class. You couldn't touch him. And then he'd fall back into just doing enough, which was still brilliant because he'd score all the time. McGeady's not at that level, but McGeady was like... You're right, there was another gear he had, you could tell, and then that frustrated him. But then from his point of view, if you've got a manager going, you're playing next week.
No, and I get that, and
he said he'd go in ready to argue and come out thinking Martinez was right. He said he was like some wizard.
He did say that, and I just always, it just annoyed me. Maybe it's just because it's like a recent one. I just thought to throw it in. That I've been far worse players.
Loads of promise though.
But it just annoys me when you get someone and you think they're going to be a good player because you look at them and think you've got everything, and you just feel like they're not.
Do you know what annoyed me with him? Right, he'd have the ability to go 1v1, which he'd do. He'd beat the fella, and you'd think, just cross it. Yeah. And the odd time he did it, we scored goals from it, and you were like, what a ball. Well, I remember, was it Cardiff for home? He set the winner off for Coleman. Aaron Otten, he got to the line, done a little step over, put it in, Seamus scored. And we got a few goals like that where he dropped the shoulder, and you'd look and go, just do that. Yeah. See that thing you've just done? Do that every time, time, and he wouldn't.
I think he probably, I don't know if there's an Opta thing for this, but the amount of crosses blocked by defenders because he took too many touches, he'd probably beat one up there, and he just annoyed me.
He was very Peter Beagrey like. McGeady in that,
but I think he'd
go by someone, and then he'd want.
I think he's got a lot more talent than a lot of players.
Oh, a bit ball at the feet, natural ability. Some of the tricks he's
got his own.
He's got his own
trick.
That thing, it's brilliant. And
he done it for Ireland.
He done it for us in a couple of games.
But he did it for Ireland. I remember in a big game.
And scored.
And when we had
him, rolled it and he flicks it with the outside of his foot and then bends it.
Just annoying. I hate plays like that.
Frustrating.
Just a frustrating player.
So he had good.
Right, let's move into centre midfield.
Yeah,
let's move in there. This will be interesting. 3, 2, 1. Niako.
Alex Niaco?
Alex Niaco. Alex Niaco. Bought with a lot of promise. Someone I don't think we knew a lot about when we bought him. Wasn't that kind of time.
Got a work permit in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Work permit approval. Because he was that good for, I think it was Ghanaian, wasn't he?
Yeah. There was a lot of talk about him, bringing him in. We had sort of like what was going to be the archetype centre midfielder, the Patrick Vieira, the long stride, athletic centre midfielder.
They wanted him, funnily enough,
Arsenal,
but as well.
He simply just didn't try. he simply did not try. He
started off well.
He come in and little flashes of him, but he just did not try. And obviously it culminated with the fan running on the pitch at Arsenal, saying, swap shirts, I'll try harder than you. That almost gave him the excuse he needed to try and get away from Everton. He came back after, we basically didn't have anyone else, and there was this whole like redemption thing brought him back. Smashed the bar, didn't he?
First minute against Chelsea.
Had a half decent game, but never really got going. Fans had made their mind up. The club had made their mind up. They could maybe still get some money off him. And the irony is, he went on loan to 2 clubs, and one of them was Monaco, and the other one was Paris Saint-Germain. And when you think about that now, like Paris Saint-Germain and where they are,
where they were though at the time.
But no, just ticks all the boxes.
Had everything you'd want when you're buying a midfield player. 6'2", could get about the pitch. I remember him and Gravesen in midfield. It looked like a really good partnership. I remember we played Derby at home, and this probably should have been like the indicator, but his debut was at Leeds. We got beat 2-0 on the opening day in that kit. Dunk was sub. And then we played, obviously we beat Thingy 3-0 at Charlton on the thing, and he was good, very good. And then the pair of them were brilliant on Saturday against Derby, and we were winning 2-0. Gravesen scored that goal and ran off doing his nutcase face, and right after Gravesen had scored, we went on another brilliant run, and Niaco had it, and it hit the post and come out, would have gone 3-0, and the pair of them were brilliant. They were dominating, and then they faded as the game went on, and Derby ended up drawing 2-2, which was just a joke, because the game was so one-sided. And that was a little thing. The worst thing Smith ever done for him was he played him centre-back at home to Ipswich, and I never forget, I'd just been to Florida and come back. I got back in that month. There's a theme here. I got back in on the morning. We had Ipswich at home, and he was centre back, and I went no sleep, and we got beat 3-0 at home. Marcus Stewart scored 2. Niaco was centre back, and he didn't have a clue where he was. And a couple of fans, got on his back a little bit, because he was terrible. He was taking too long at centre back. And Smith, he was a negative defender. I don't even understand what his thinking was, because he took him out of the midfield where he'd been the legs, and put him into the back 4, and we got bounced anyway. And then you could see his confidence chipping away. And I remember going to Derby away on Boxing Day, actually, on New Year's Day. And I'm almost, them 2 were centre of the park, Gravesen and Niaco. And we got beat 1-0. But Walter Smith subbed them both at half time. Your centre midfield partnership taken off at half time. And you're like, if that doesn't say it all. And then he was less, and he was getting worse and worse, resulting in the Arsenal thing when the lad got on the pitch and tried to say, swap shirts with him, because he should have been so much better. He had the physique to do it. I didn't know him as a person, so I don't know what his mentality was like, but he should have been able to play in the league. He was quick, he was strong, and he was good on the ball. And at times he demonstrated that ability, and you looked at him and that's what we bought. But then too many times, like you said, he was just like, I can't be arsed with. Either I can't be arsed, or his confidence was just obliterated, and he didn't know what was going on. But he was just he was dreadful for us, really.
I just don't think he had the attitude or the mental ability to play for a club like us. And I think that showed. His career went nowhere after he left us. And
got him from Lens, didn't we?
Yeah. So it was one of those early ones where for us, we hadn't brought in a lot of foreign players, and I don't know. At the time, it just never worked out. And obviously, maybe if that incident hadn't happened at Arsenal, that his career would have petered out and he'd just be forgotten about. But because that picture was so iconic,
but he come back, like you say, he come back against Chelsea at home in that game the following season, and we lost 1-0. I think Mutu scored for them, and Jeffers missed an open goal at the end. But and Jeffers missed one right at the start of that game as well, as far after all 40 seconds, I think. But Nyako smashed the bar with that, and that goes in.
Yeah.
You know, that, who knows what it would have done for him. His career might have been, people might have like got behind him and his confidence might have gone up, but it didn't, so.
Yeah. Right, let's move on to the next one. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Baz has gone for John Collins. I've gone for Klaus Thompson. Klaus Thompson was just crap.
Yeah.
Right, he was just crap.
Too slow.
He came from Ipswich. He'd been all right for Ipswich. In a poor side.
Yeah.
But he was just crap. And I think he had one season. And again, it was that idea of he come in
like the January. Joe panicked, didn't he, and got him.
Yeah. Was that when Joe Parker got injured?
Yeah. He come in and he
so
was.
Again, we're buying players like him. We're buying players like Mark Hottiger. We're replacing our half-decent players or our good players with crap.
Yeah.
And again, middle of the park, going out and going, Ipswich have got a decent centre midfielder, they'll sell. And he was just rubbish. He didn't have, but he also just didn't have that. He was like, oh, this isn't Ipswich, this is Everton.
Yeah. He looked lost.
He just was completely off it. And I don't think I can say anymore. He was just awful. He was just really, really, really bad.
The worst game he had was.
He scored an own goal in the derby as well.
Yeah. But I remember, it might have been it was probably one of the last games he had for us. We went up to Newcastle, we were winning 1-0. And we got beat 4-1 in the end. They scored 4 in about the last half an hour. And he just got torn apart. And I'm almost certain, just off the top of my head, I don't think Howard played him again after that. And see him in that stupid 1-1 kit, and but it looked like he had a head like we'll have because we can't come get our hair cut, the barbers. No, he was grim. He was Peter Dane. He was grim.
Go on, let's move on. John
Collins, fucking shyster of a footballer. Come in a blaze of glory. I loved him at Celtic.
He was brilliant.
And when he went to Monaco.
Free transfer to Monaco. One of the first Bosmans, wasn't he?
Yeah, went to Monaco and he was brilliant. And people were raving about him. And Everton were after him, and I was thinking, we are getting a fucking...
Scored in the World Cup.
Yeah, scored in the World Cup for Scotland, and we got him that summer. And it was like, have a bit of this. John Collins coming in, this new era, silky footballer, him and Olivier Decour coming in, and we're going to beat the dog's bollocks. And he came in, and I was right, he was bollocks. He just wasn't the dog's bollocks. Missed the penalty on his debut after 10 minutes against Villa at home, and we ended up drawing the game 0-0. And that season we didn't score a home goal until November.
November, oh my God.
He scored a screamer at Borough in a 2-2 from the edge of the box. And he was technically a good footballer, but he was a shite talk. One of the best games he ever played for Everton was left back against Bradford at home. We beat them 4-0. And he went from left back then to right back. And he was decent at left back. He was decent in the midfield when there was Hutchison in there, the court, him on the left and Barnby. That was probably one of our like best midfields that we'd had at that time. But he was a fella who talk about not being asked. He surprised me so much because he was Scottish. And Scottish, you think they want to give everything for the cause. You know, you had Don Hutchison who was playing for Scotland and giving everything. And we'd seen Duncan, I've seen so many great Scottish players. Andy Gray, the heart of a lion. And this fella had none of it. Showboat. He was crap. And for the money we paid and the promise he'd come in for, he was dreadful. And he couldn't wait to get out of Everton as well. And he went off to Fulham and waxed lyrical about Fulham with John Tagana, and he was shite, and he was made up and he was shite. And then he's gone to be a pundit, and he's a shite pundit as well. And he hates Everton, and I hate him. So that's why he's in my...
Again, pressure.
First.
Come in, a bit of pressure. Not a very good team. You're the one supposed to lift it, and ended up being someone like Don Hutchinson, who technically probably wasn't anywhere near John Collins' level, technical as a footballer.
No, but
and
I'd have 100
heart.
pitches over him.
Of course you
every
would.
day of the week.
Million times.
Yeah.
Again, one of those players that to me is just in my head, is just lost. He's in the room of, you know, like you've just said, just, you know, crap.
Yeah.
Come in, big money, looked like a great deal. You get that excited and then you let down.
Yeah.
And there's more of them in these two teams than I think that there are of crap players.
Oh, without a shadow. Without a shadow.
Crap players just played. It's not their fault.
No, you could
not their fault.
You pick a team, a worst footballer level team would be very different to these teams, because we're not saying that. We're not saying, you know, there'll be people listening and watching who are like, he was a great player. Technically, he was shite for Everton. End of story. Technically, he probably was, but we're talking about why it's our worst 11 because of the circumstances.
Why it's such a good conversation.
So,
right, let's move on to the forwards.
First
forward.
This will be interesting.
This will be interesting. Okay, first forward.
Hang on.
3, 2, 1. Brett Angel, we've both gone there. This bucks the trend, because he genuinely was terrible.
Yeah, he was
like, this fella was terrible. And what makes it worse was, we had him on loan and decided to keep him.
Yeah. We just wanted to give Southend some money, didn't we?
Oh my, like, why would you bring someone on loan from a team in, like, the 4th division?
You know what? He was really good in lower leagues. He
Yeah.
scored a lot of goals. Him and Collymore played up front together. He scored a lot of goals. Everton watched them for 2 or 3 seasons. Scored a lot of goals. A bit like Bobby Zamora. We watched Bobby Zamora for a couple of years, and we decided not to take the punt on him, and he went elsewhere and did well actually for Fulham and for West Ham, and we maybe could have done all right with him. But Brett Angel was one who was that name. Everton are after him. Everton are looking at this lad. He's scoring goals. And we got him. And okay, you can understand them getting him on loan, taking a punt on him, because you're thinking we need a striker.
Yeah.
Come in on loan, see if he can help us out. And he scored against Chelsea at home. The only goal he scored, we won 4-2. And he done okay when we won at QPR. Been, you know, just for being a nuisance of what he is. But I'm sure he was blind in one eye as well. I know I am, honestly.
Why didn't he play right back then?
I know he could have played right back, but I am sure he's sight in one eye isn't great. But he just wasn't very good at all. And he was another one. He was 6'4", but he was 6'4" with no physical presence at all.
He couldn't jump.
No, that's
Go
what I'm
back
saying.
and watch him, right?
No, I know.
If anyone ever watches Brett Angel, right? Think about when you watch Duncan, right? Watch Duncan. Everyone used to say he jumps, but he's 9 foot when he jumps. Like, he could be 6'4", but when he jumps, his feet are 3 foot off the ground. He's 9 foot. That's why he was so good in the air. Brett Angel could not jump. No. It was something I remember from the time. Was he'd go for headers and lose them and be like, how's he lost time? Because the other defender is jumping and he's just like, he couldn't get off
that far.
He couldn't get off the floor. He was woeful. Absolutely. And I remember when he scored the goal against Chelsea, it was just like, for him, it was just pure relief of, I've scored a Premier League goal.
Yeah. It was a yard out, money, and he just slid it in. But no, he was dreadful. He really was. He just wasn't a very good player. And for the physical attributes he had, he just didn't know how to use them. And in the Premier League at that time, he should have been able to. He was sick, like I say, he's a big lad. He should have been knocking people out. He was gently spoken, softly spoken. Yeah. He was probably an absolutely lovely lad. He probably
didn't know what it did.
He'd probably go for a tackle and then pick you up and go, "You okay? I didn't mean to catch you there," which is sound because that's a nice person. But in a business where it's cutthroat and it's me or you, you've got to have that needle. You can do that at the end. When the game's finished, you can go, "Listen, you're all right." Not in the game. You've got to be in people's face because it's a battle out there, and certainly more so in them days.
I just don't understand how you can take someone on loan and look at them every day in training and decide that they're all right.
It was bizarre.
And Let's do the other one, and let's just talk about a couple of... Right, go. Last one. Complete the team. This will be interesting. 3, 2, 1. Mark Hughes. I've gone for John Spencer.
Spenno. Little Spencer.
I went for John Spencer because I remember, you know, when you buy a player or you bring a player in, I think we brought him on loan and then I think we signed him. But I think he only played 3 games after we signed him.
Yeah.
We had him for a year. And this will be similar to John Collins. No, most players, you remember most players come to Everton, they always say nice things. He hated us. When he left, he just said awful things about us as a club. And he had no right to. He was crap. He was absolutely crap. When he'd been at Chelsea, he was like this little bulldog terrier, and he managed to get goals, and he had this like angry thing about him. But when he came to us, it was just like he just seemed like he was always angry at us, and he was crap. He had like no reason.
Always angry at us.
He had no reason to like to be that way, and there was, and this is why he's in there, and there'll be others that won't be in there. And I'm sure Mark is the same for you. Is that he must have been a decent footballer. He played for Scotland, he played for Chelsea, he had a good successful career in MLS after that, whether you use that is, but at Everton, he had just nothing about him. He'd been on loan, but he clearly didn't want to be at Everton. He didn't want to try for Everton. He didn't want to do anything for Everton, and that's why he's in the team, because he was a prick. Like, while he was at Everton, he was a prick. Same as like why you've got John Collins in. Like, don't come to Everton and don't moan at us because you can't give everything to Everton Football Club, you little prick. Like, I couldn't stand him. Like, you go out there, you put a shirt on for Everton, and I expect you to have a little go. And all he did was have a little, because that's all he was, a little prick. So
he was garbage.
You, John Spencer, you little prick. There you go.
I wish you'd have told me what you really felt about him. He was garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage. Again, another one you'd see, we played against us and being lively, and you'd seen him score goals.
That's what's worse!
No, I'm saying, you've seen him score goals, you get him and think, good, he'll do us a job here. We've got big strikers, he's a good little, little and large, he'll get on the end of stuff. Didn't give a toss.
No.
Was just genuinely crap.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can remember him doing was having a shot that hit Michael Madar's shoulder and went in against Villa. And Madar ran off like he'd scored a 40-yard volley and was made up he robbed this goal off.
Michael Madar.
And
what a man.
See, I've got much more fond memories of Madar.
We've said this before, right? If Michael Madar would have scored in the derby, he'd be an Everton legend. He'd be like Kevin Campbell.
He'd have stayed though, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he'd be like Kevin Campbell. That one miss, people are like, Michael Madar, who's he? Another player who went to Paris Saint-Germain.
And other people are like, no, but he was crap, him, and he wasn't far from crap.
Kept us up.
Did keep us up. But Spencer, yeah, let's just move on from him. He's a dickhead.
Go on, John Collins.
No, it's not John Collins.
Mark Hughes. Go on.
Mark Hughes was crap as well for us. We got him in from Chelsea. We nearly had him a few times, Hughes, and we almost got him when he was brilliant for United, and he scored up at Newcastle in an FA Cup game. He was signing for Everton on the Monday, and he got stretched off on the Sunday. Classic Everton.
We almost had him when Cantona.
And the which?
When Cantona jumped into the stand.
Well, yeah,
we were supposed to get him then, weren't we?
Yeah, but there was 3. But the Newcastle one, which was so frustrating, was he got stretched off at Newcastle. He was signing for us on the Monday, but on the Saturday, Andy Cole. Oh no, that was when Cole was at United. Yeah. Cole on the Saturday played against Liverpool and broke his leg. So we should have been getting him, and the whole thing was scuppered. And we'd have got him at a time when he could have made a real difference to Everton. He went to Chelsea then at the end of the season and was really good for Chelsea for a good few years. Then we got him, and he come in, and I remember his first couple of games. He was great, taking it on the chest and laying it off, and then he just went shit. And
he was 38,
and he was shite.
No, but he was.
And that one, the miss in the derby, the Hutchison derby, I can't forgive him, mate. Got played clean through him and Westerveld. He's on his own, edge of the box, no one anywhere near him. Goalkeeper to beat, and he hit it against him. Hit it low against him instead of clipping it over him. And we'd have won the game. It was with about 10 minutes left. And then he's another one. He turned into a knobhead. near the end.
Yeah.
Then throwing his arms up in the air, walking around. Then he left and became an even bigger prick when he was the City manager. And he's never lost that prickness about him. He's one of the few.
We should have done Everton's biggest pricks 11.
He's one of the few Everton players I despise. I just hate him, honestly. I can't accept he was an Everton player. That's why he's in my thing. And there was other players we could have put in.
Of course.
Technical wise, like Dennis Strachan.
We've put the ass on there for the just because like he's the red herring. Him and Strach, like Strach is probably technically one of the worst footballers I've ever seen for Everton. But I think I said this to the week on something else. He come in, he was on loan, he went on to Leicester on trial. They weren't even a Premier League club. They bombed them off. Yeah, we were desperate for a striker, and we just got him in and went, go on, I'll give you a season to see what happens. He did that all the time. He did that all the time. He used to give loads of people. There's a absolute long list of Everton players that were in for a season. Bosner. Ibrahim, Said, Plessis.
Gillen Plessis.
There's loads. There's absolutely loads of them that Moyes would look at for a year and then just go.
Codiano.
Yeah. Rodrigo. There's loads that Moyes would look at and go, I'll give you a year, lad. Bare wages. Let's see what comes of it. Might be able to sell you on. That article's pretty, that one with Antland Peterlin. He's a doctor in Denmark now fighting the coronavirus.
Is he? Yeah.
Top man, 32 he is. So, Strack came in, looked awful. But on the first game, did a little flick for Drenthe to run through to Wigan. Disappeared, come back, and had four months of training with Premier League players, and had been. He was still crap, but he'd been moulded into an effective use of. So where you had other players around him, Moyes obviously just said, run round a bit, make a nuisance. You'll get a chance, and if you're a decent if you're a striker and you're a striker at any level, if a chance falls here, you should be able to put it away. It's all about the other things of like, can you get to that place? And he took a couple of chances, and I will never go, oh, Strack is like. I go, you did it. It'd be like me.
Did the job.
It'd be like me ending up playing. No one could go. You could go, you're crap. But if I tried, and the Ass is the same. The Ass is not a very good footballer. No. But every time we've called on him to help us, he's genuinely done it.
He's worked hard. He scored goals for us. He wouldn't get in people's teams if you were picking him, but he's never. No. I've never seen the Ass walk around the pitch, and you put the kid on for 5 minutes from the end, he'll still run around like a loon. He won't walk on and go, fuck you. Last 5 minutes, exactly. You're all right.
And anyone who puts him on the pitch, like when he got brought on against West Ham, which was the death nail for Martinez. What's Martinez's fault? Yeah. We had 10 men on the pitch, and he's bringing on someone who'd never kicked the ball at Premier League level. He brought him on a Villa, and we nearly blew a 3-0 lead at Villa. Because of the same reason. Brought a player who clearly did not have a clue how to play football at that level. And that's on you as a manager. That's not on him. That's on you.
He's just going on to do his job, isn't he? To do what he knows. But if he's not in the framework of your team, whereas...
I mean, this is a lad who barely knew how to run round the centre circle.
Yeah, he didn't know how to be paraded as a player. He had jeans and an Everton top on.
And a cap, which was terrible.
Well, I mean,
what a guy.
What a guy.
What a guy. I mean, Andy Brassel said he was boss, remember?
Andy Brassel said he'd play off the left and he'd be incredible. So, there you go.
There you go. That's our worst Everton Premier League 11. Let us know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Give us your 11. The thing about this is, what's great about it, it's so subjective to your own memories of players or opinions on players or whatever. It's going to be dead easy to just do a starting 11 of terrible players, because most of them would never have played, and being a kid who just came out and went. And John Hills, remember John Hills?
At the meeting.
There'd be loads of them, but this is like, you've got to have your particular reasons, like, you know,
like we have.
Be a prick. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I hope you, well, I don't know, I don't really care if you agreed with me or Baz. I'd just love to know your thoughts on this. Let us know your thoughts. Who is your worst Everton 11? Thanks for listening to the podcast. See you later.